box this morning. But Delma would always say that God would either heal me on this side or the other side. And what I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit today is the task of a caregiver and the importance of a family. In caregiving, we reflect Christ's love, unconditional love, and unequivocal love, unreserved love. We are called to love in ways that would either change us or either break us. First, I need to tell you a little about the love of God that gives you love of your life. And it says in Proverbs 18 and 22, tells us, whosoever finds a wife finds a good thing and attain favor of the Lord. So my advice to the single, divorced, separated, or widowed women or men, never settle for anything less than God's best for your life. Amen. There's a concept behind that, which is the right man and right woman relationship. And I can truly say within my heart, if there was ever a man that loved a woman, it was Delma. Right. Yep. And if there was ever a woman that loved a man, it was me. Yes. He was my knight in shining armor, and I was his queen. He treated me with respect from the first time I met him, and I treated him as a king, as I thought he should be treated. I met Delma, I started writing Delma in 1968. I met him in 1969, May 19, 1969 in Chicago. He was from Oklahoma and I was from Chicago. We went walking through the park, which was a dangerous place back in Chicago. But the first day that he met me, he asked me to marry him, and I said yes. So 45 years later, we were married. Yeah. But I told him, I don't know how much this goes on today, but I told him, I said, now that you asked me to marry you, you have to go ask for my hand in marriage. And so he procrastinated until about 2 days before he had to go back to Oklahoma. He finally got up enough nerve and courage to ask my auntie and uncle, could he marry me? And they said yes. Amen. Like my daughter said, we have 6 kids and 16 grandkids. In our 45 years of marriage, we had good times, and then we had some not so good times, like every married couple do. I had my share of failures and faults, and he did also. But we learned to love and to forgive despite both of our shortcomings. And as Delma would say, it wasn't the love that kept us together, it was our commitment to the Lord and to each other. Because I would make him mad, and he would make me mad sometimes. But that's where the commitment comes in. I would tell him, besides Jesus Christ, you are the love of my life. I want to go back a little bit. When Delma was in the military, I would write him all the time, and he would write me, and he would always send cards. And for 45 years, we still sent cards. Up until probably the last week he passed away, we sent cards.
That's beautiful.
We would hold hands in the bed. We'd hold hands in the car. Just remember the good times, cherish the memories, but live each day moving forward. Focus your thoughts on what is before you and how you're going to get there. What made me the caregiver I was, it was because of Christ dwelling in me and the relationship and respect I had for Delma, or that we had for each other. Genesis 18 and 14 says, there is nothing too hard for God.
That's it.
That is the way I felt about caregiving, my caregiving role. There was absolutely nothing that I would not do for him. Delma was diagnosed with cancer in September of 1998, and we decided to wait until after the holidays to do surgery. So in 1999, his prostate was removed, And things went fairly well up until about 2009, and it came back with a vengeance. So we decided to go to the Cancer Treatment Center of America in Tulsa. We would go like every 3 weeks. Every once in a while, we would go every 2 weeks. But at the last part, we were going, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. We would be going back up there. And my kids, my 3 daughters, they would. That's where family comes in there.
Yes.
They would, my daughter Bianca, she would take up her job, and Valerie would find people to watch her kids, and they would come and they would spend the day with us, with their daddy and I. And anytime you have a person that has an illness, you need to go with them to the doctor. And if you can't go, you need to send somebody that's competent to go. After you go to the doctor with them, and if they give you the opportunity to ask questions, and if they don't give you the opportunity to ask questions, you need to ask questions anyway. Because sometimes you might hear one thing, and the other person might hear something else. So there means you need some clarification. Well, this is what you're telling me. Is that true or is that not true? And they can explain it to you if it is or not. Normally, I am a pretty quiet person, but when it came to Delma's health, there was no stupid questions. I was his ears, I was his eyes, and I was his mouth. I was his spokesperson. Bear in mind, though, that no one can remove us 1 second before God decides it is our time to leave. I say, do all you can for your loved ones while you can, and as long as you can, because you may not get a second chance. And like I said, the Rollins team support was my family. They were superior. They were cut above the rest. They were the best. And then we had a very close friend of ours. And how we say in the world today, she was a sister, mother, or brother of another mother. But she was our friend, and she was right there with us the whole time up until the end. Amen. So thinking back, when Delma was so sick one time, when we were in Tulsa, we were there for almost 40 days. Albert and Niecy them came up, which Albert came up more than once, but they came up, and I wasn't sure at that time because he was, I would say, you said, well, he's sick enough to die. And he was sick. He had a feeding tube, and Bianca and I, we learned how to change his, I'm like, oh, Ella learned how to do that. I was like, oh, Lord, what you trying to do? But anyway, I learned how to change that feeding tube. He got another type of feeding tube. We ended up learning how to do that, flush his pores. So be surprised what you can learn how to do when you have to do things. So I wasn't sure when I came back from Tulsa that time that if I was coming back by myself or if he was going to be able to come back with me. So again, I said, no one can remove you. Can remove you 1 second before God says it's time for you to go. Amen. So in sickness and health and death do us part. Hebrews 9:27 says, it is appointed unto man once to die, and after that, judgment. I can truly say I never got tired of caring for Delma. It was always my pleasure, and I would have done it for another 45 years, but God see fit otherwise. The mysteries of suffering and pain will one day be erased when Jesus Christ unlocks the doors to our past, present, and future hope. God uses suffering to help us grow. Grief teaches us a valuable lesson about our relationship with God. I don't know what the hardest task I would have to face would be to allow my heart to be molded, to be searched, and to allow God to use this special time to conform me to his image in a new way. Now, I have a new normal every day. One thing I learned in my grief share class is grief is the cost that you pay for loving someone. Mm-hmm. Grief takes us to a place that I never thought I would want to go. And only God can fill that void.
Yes. Amen.
There are 3 stages you need to think about. You can't go back, and you can't stay where you are. You must go forward. Yes. Which this is my normal. Every day is a new normal for me when I get up. The only thing that keeps me and sustains me is God's grace and mercy, and having an intimate relationship with Jesus Christ. Delma always had my best interest at heart. He would always say that his job was to take care of me, and that is what he did until his last breath. He didn't leave me rich, and he didn't leave me broke. He left me funds in all of his bank accounts he had. If anybody knew Delma, he had a lot of bank accounts. He had a lot of things going on. Got one I'm still working on, trying to figure it out. But for that, I say thank you, Delma.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you that I don't have to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I can do my 1 day on Coles and my couple days at Weight Watchers. So for that, I said thank you, Delma. So he was my right man, and I am his right woman. I can't tell y'all the little things that Delma would do for me. When I worked for Firestone, I worked 11 to 7. He would go out, he worked 7 till 3 or whatever it was, 7 to 3:30. He would go outside, he'd clean my car up in the wintertime and have it already. I didn't have to scrape no ice or nothing off my car. He'd make up the bed. I mean, he was just a man that, if you didn't have a man like that, that's the kind of man you wanted for a husband, because that's the kind of man he was. And I did what I could for him too. So the moment that you left me, my heart was split in two. One side was filled with memories, the other side died with you. I often lay awake at night when the world is fast asleep and take a walk down memory lane with tears upon my cheek. Remembering you is easy. I do it every day. But missing you is a heartache that never goes away. I hold you tightly within my heart, and there you will remain. You see, life has gone on without you, but would never be the same. And I got that off Facebook, guys. I was say that was good. So in closing, Delma came into this world with nothing, and he left with absolutely everything. Okay, now this one here is not, this is about the Diane Rollins Scholarship Fund. Many years ago,